All right, guys. So I really thought that today it might be really cool for us to go ahead and do our financial needs to knows as a video. That way, if you needed to refer back, if you had questions, concerns, you could ask me specific questions, but you'd at least have the groundwork on the video so that you felt comfortable with the vocabulary and the different things that we're going to be talking about in regards to finances, okay? So this is basically, in a nutshell, just the basics of finance and just words that you need to be familiar with and basic things that you need to know moving on into your post-secondary lives. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over some vocabulary. Okay, I apologize if you're familiar with these terms already, but we are going to start from just the basics so that we all have a firm foundation of what we need to know as I kind of progress through the PowerPoint, okay? So the first term on the vocabulary is going to be expense. An expense obviously is something that costs you money. This is going to be something that you're going to do to spend your money. Okay, that is very different from your income, which is going to be money that you're going to gain. This is going to be things that you earn in regards to doing your job. If somebody were to pay you even for babysitting or something like that, that's income. It's money that you are receiving from somebody else. This can be as simple as someone reimbursing you for, safe driving from Allstate, that sort of thing. Any type of check or money that you receive is called income. Okay, the next two terms kind of go together in different senses, but the terms are renting and leasing. This is paying someone in order to use a given item. Okay, this is something that not everyone is completely and totally familiar with. You've probably heard these terms before, sometimes interchangeably. They can mean different things, but at their core, basically what this means is something that is not yours. It is something that you are borrowing from somebody. You are paying them to use a certain different kind of item. Okay, that's the opposite of owning and buying, which is actually purchasing something that becomes your property. This is going to be something that eventually, once you pay off, it will be yours. So kind of keep those things kind of separate in your mind. Like I said, they're kind of opposites. One is going to be on the side of something that you're always borrowing. Owning is going to be something that you officially are going to own. All right, a credit card and a debit card. Let's talk a little bit about the differences between those two. Okay, a credit card is going to be a card that you can use to make purchases that has a set limit. It will require interest if not paid back in full unless otherwise specified in the contract. And this would be like an example, you have no interest for 36 months. Okay, that's if you pay off that item, you're not going to have interest. So let me stop for a second and let me talk about what interest is. Interest is a percentage that you are going to have to pay on top of the money that you're already owing in order to have that certain item. We're going to talk a little bit more in the PowerPoint about a credit card and talk about interest. But you really need to make sure that you understand that a credit card, you don't officially have that money. It is money that someone is loaning you so that you can purchase certain things and then eventually pay it off. As a college student, you are going to be just overcome with credit cards, credit card people who want you to sign up for their different credit cards. Just be very, very cautious. Credit is something that you need, but you need to make sure that you always have the money to back up what you are purchasing. For example, if you're going to buy a big screen TV and you're going to pay it off in increments, you need to make sure that you're not going to incur a whole bunch of interest. Otherwise, you are going to be paying a whole lot more for that TV than you initially thought based on the price tag that was initially there. Okay? A debit card is very different because that is actually a card that can be used to make purchases, and it is a lot like cash. Okay, that is money that is actually in your bank account. If you don't have money in the bank account, they will not let you use your debit card. It automatically subtracts the money from your bank account. So it is very much as though you have $20 in your pocket, just as you would if you had a cash bill. Okay, so please understand that a credit card and a debit card, although used frequently interchangeably at retail stores, are very, very different. So please, please, please make sure that you understand what you're using and how you're using it. Okay. A FICO credit score. Okay, that is going to be back here, that's going to fit along with our credit cards. A FICO credit score is something that is going to be a ranking system based on different factors in regards to your credit habits. Okay, in order to obtain a FICO credit score, you have to have credit. Okay, and there's different ways of earning credit, and we're going to talk about that again later on in this video. But please, please, please understand that credit can be good, and we need credit in order to make big purchases, like to buy cars and to buy houses. But you need to make sure that you are being careful with your money so that you don't get over your head and you have a bunch of things that you have on credit that aren't actually yours. That's when you get into bankruptcy and that sort of thing, when you can't pay off your credit cards. Okay, so hopefully we have a firm foundation of some of the vocabulary that we're going to be using. Let's go ahead and move on. The next thing that we're going to be talking about is parts of a check. Okay, we don't use checks as much nowadays, although it is important for us to understand that there are different parts of a check. You will receive a check, whether it be electronic or it be a paper check, when you become employed. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more in class in regards to how to write a check and that sort of thing. But what I need you to understand is that each check has 3 different parts to it. It's these numbers here at the bottom. Okay, those numbers are very, very important. This first one is going to be a routing number. Okay, this ties to the actual bank that you are using. Okay, the second one is going to be the account number. That is specifically tied to you. It is you, your account, and what you use at the bank. Okay, see how it's getting smaller in size? All right, this last part is going to be the check number, and that correlates with this number right here up in the top right-hand corner of your check. Okay, that is the number that you are using to write this specific check to whoever it is that you owe money to. So when you write a check, it takes a few days, but then it will automatically be deducted from your account. Just as if your employer is paying you, it will be deducted from their account when you go and cash your check, so that you have money in your account. Nowadays, we do a lot of things like online banking, and we have direct deposit. So we don't see the actual check as much, but it is important for us to note these certain things, as in order to get set up for direct deposit, you need to know the certain parts of your check because they are going to be asking for these specific things. Okay? All right, moving right along. Now we're going to get into renting versus buying a little bit. So we're going to talk about that renting versus owning. Okay, this is a little bit more geared. My apologies, my video kind of glitched, so I'm going to go ahead and go back a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about the pros about renting versus buying. In renting, there is no actual maintenance. You are not the one that is responsible for the upkeep of your particular home, nor do you have property tax. Okay, so that's not another thing that you're going to have to pay for. Also, it's easy for you to move on. You don't have to worry about buying and selling your home. You just say, hey, I'm done. I'm going to be dropping my lease at this particular time. Of course, you want to make sure it's within that time so you don't incur some extra costs. But it's easy for you to just pick up and move on. In buying, it is to make it your own. You're actually investing in something so that at the end of the day, you will have something that is yours that you can sell off of. Okay, when you're making rent payments, you're not actually, that apartment or that house is no more yours than it was when you first moved in. So you need to understand that. When you're buying, the difference is that you're actually making it your own. So at the end of the day, you will have earned a chunk, if not all, of that house when you pay it off. Okay. Also, when you're renting, you can also have it happen where yearly they go, oh, we're upping your rent, and in order to stay here, you're going to need to pay those high premiums. When you are buying a house, there's no payment hikes. You are set in your mortgage payments once you make that establishment with the bank. So there's no surprises. You're not going to have any payment hikes. This also builds equity. Like we talked about, at the end of the day, this is going to be yours. You're going to have something of an investment that you've already established as your own. Okay. So let's switch over. We've talked about the cons. Let's go ahead, or the pros, let's go ahead and go to the cons. In renting, you can have those increased rents like we were just talking about. They can hike up those prices. You also have a deadline for your lease, so you have to fit within those deadlines or you will incur some extra fees. And this is, like I said, no more yours than it was the day you walked in. With buying, you most generally have to put money down. So you have to be able to say, oh, okay, I have $20,000 saved that I'm going to go ahead and put towards this house. If you don't, then that becomes a problem. You are going to not be able to purchase that home. There's also a cost of selling and a cost of buying, so make sure that you have money for those. You are also going to have to pay for the upkeep of your home. So say, for example, your water heater goes out. Guess what? Now you are going to have to pay $6,000 for a water heater, and that's just the way that it goes in order for you to upkeep the maintenance of your own home. So just make sure that you are prepared for all those hidden costs. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video right here at this time, and then you can go ahead and pick it up on part 2 of the financial needs to knows. Thank you so much for watching to this point.